Mesdames et messieurs, bonsoir. J'ai le plaisir et l'honneur de modérer cette réunion consacrée à l'ouverture officielle des travaux de notre forum DNS Afrique. Alors je me présente, je suis M. Abdelaziz, je suis directeur de la réglementation à l'Agence nationale de réglementation des télécommunications, qui est, comme vous le savez,
which is the local host of the 5th edition of the ADM. I had the pleasure to work with the ANRT teams in charge of the domain names .ma to support them with regulatory aspects. Before giving the floor to the eminent personalities on the podium, I would like to start by thanking and congratulating the team that worked to organize this forum. I was able to talk to them about the practical and logistic aspects, and I really thank them for their efficiency and their professionalism. I have the pleasure to give the floor to the first speaker, who is Mr. Paulos Nyirenda, member of the AFTLD, Dr. Paulos Nyirenda has a PhD in electronics. Is the coordinator of the Malawi program Sustainable Development DNS. He is also the management member of the unique Malawi, is the member of the CNC Council that represents the African region, and is a member of Afrinic PTP MG and the chair of service Internet service providers that manages the exchange point Internet XP Malawi. Doctor, you have the floor.
Already introduced. So I'm from AFTLD, guest of honor, the Director General of ANRT, our host here in Morocco, the Morocco.ma CCTLD, also running under ANRT, ISOC President, Kathy Brown, my partners in arranging the DNS forum, Dawit from ISOC, Pierre from ICANN, my colleagues, the executive committee of FTLD, wherever you are, maybe you can just raise your hand so that I can see a few. Participants to this DNS forum, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. As AFTLD, we are very happy to be here in this lovely city of Marrakesh at this 4th Africa DNS forum that has been organized as the previous ones by the partnership of AFTLD, ISOC, and ICANN. AFTLD is a focal point for African top-level domains, and we handle issues on policy, on management, and development of TLDs. We handle issues that affect all TLDs globally, but in particular, we handle issues that affect CCTLDs. And our aim is to present the group position of these TLD operators with one voice from the region of Africa, region as recognized by ICANN. AFTLD is a registered company. We are registered in Mauritius, but in 2013 we also got registered in Kenya, and our secretariat is run from Nairobi in Kenya. AFTLD is recognized as the ICANN top-level domain organization representing the region of Africa, just like the other 3 or 4 organizations, Center for Europe, APTLD for Asia Pacific, and LAC-TLD for Latin America region. The organization is a member-based organization, and it's run by a board of directors who form the executive committee, and the data operations are run by staff. So we have membership based on CCTLDs. Malawi, where I come from, chairs the organization, but we also have Madagascar, and we have Tanzania, who act as treasurer. We have Comoros.km, the vice chair. We have Sudan, and we have Senegal. So we are well represented across the various parts of Africa. The members of AFTLDs are CCTLDs from countries in Africa that have signed up as members under the AFTLD constitution. At the moment, we have more than 52% of African CCTLDs signed up as members of AFTLD, from Egypt in the north to South Africa, .za in the south, from Senegal in the west to Somalia in the east and in between. So all African countries and their CCTLDs, as well as other top-level domains, are welcome to participate in our activities. And we have 10 associate members who are mostly registrars, many of them based here in Africa. So, Director General, we would like to invite Morocco.ma to become a member of AFTLD. We carry out a number of activities in Africa. It is realized that DNS forms part of the critical infrastructure for the internet, and CCTLDs, especially in Africa, are well recognized as part of this critical infrastructure in our countries as well as globally. However, studies on Africa show that CCTLDs in Africa are still very small. They still have poor and low penetration of DNS. They have poor business models. Many of them have yet to reach sustainability, and as such, when they operate, they are subsidized either by a regulator or by a government or by a telecoms company or university. They are dominated by poor governance, and they lack well-qualified staff. So AFTLD, having looked at this, carries out a number of activities every year to assist with the development of CCTLDs, other TLDs, registrars, and users in Africa. So the activities, if I can just highlight them, involve capacity building and technical development with the aim of uplifting these CCTLDs. And for capacity building, we run 4 types of courses per year. The initial registers course, The last one was held in Maseru in Lesotho. The Advanced Registry course, the last one was held in Tunisia at the Africa Internet Summit. The Secure Registrars course, the last one was held in Livingstone in Zambia at the end of 2015 in November. And the next Advanced Registrars course will be held in Botswana at the Africa Internet Summit in May 2016. We also run the DNS forum like this one. We have run 3 of them so far. The first one was in Durban in 2013. The next one after that was in Lagos in 2014. And last year we held it in Nairobi. And the DNS forum has been very successful. It has been emulated in other regions and continues to be successful, as you can see from the attendance today. We participate in internet governance, and for the 2015-2016 year, probably the IANRT transition has been the star event. And we are represented by Nigeria. Mary Uduma represented us on the CWG. And we also run working groups to enhance participation within FTOD. And many of these activities are held both in English and French to encourage as much active participation as possible. And in addition to enhancing the geographic diversity already illustrated. So we are here today in Marrakesh. We're glad to be here at this 4th Africa DNS forum. We do these activities in partnership with other organizations, already demonstrated for this one, ISOC, ICANN, and FTOD. But we do also have other partnerships. We have an MOU with Afrinic, the Numbers Organization, AFNIC, the French CCTLD, Francophonie, Regional Top-Level Domains Center, AFTLD, and LACTLD. And we enjoy support from various sponsors, as has already been demonstrated here at the 4th DNS Forum. And we have plans to have other strategic partnerships. We are talking to the Africa Union, to NEPAD, and to Africa Telecoms Union as well. So I would then like to welcome you again to this DNS Forum as one of the organizers of the event here in Marrakesh. And we invite you to actively participate as we reach towards the rest of the program this week. But you can also participate in FTLD online through our mailing lists and working groups. I thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Dr Nyirenda, par rapport à cet aspect.
Development of domain names at the African level. I would like to give the floor to Mr. Pierre Dandjinou. Pierre Dandjinou, who we've had an opportunity to get to know at the ANRT in the framework of the preparation of ICANN. This is a gentleman that we can say has great ambitions for the ambition of domain name development in Africa, and who strives a great deal to reach this objective. And we have taken note of his involvement and his willingness to move forward and to make of Africa a key player in the management of domain names. So Mr. Pierre Dandjinou does not need to be presented. He is the vice president of ICANN, and he has held this position since December 2012, and he coordinates the coordination of different stakeholders, namely governments, civil society, and the private sector. And this goes to show the importance of, just to give you an example of his tasks and responsibilities, and I give him the floor. Thank you very much. Distinguished guests and Honorable Director General, Madam Kathy Brown, I would like to first of all like to thank the ANRT for all the great work that has been done. I was here, I think, 2 or 3 months ago, when we informed the Honorable Director General that we wanted to hold this forum in Marrakesh, and I wasn't very reassured, to be quite honest, because it was the first time that we were preparing this type of forum, and the Honorable Director said, "Well, we agree to proceed and to organize the forum here." So I said that I will really need to convince him, because I don't think he understands the extent or the importance of the forum. But I think that in the end, I see they really grasp the importance and the scope. And not only were we able to have the ANRT as a host, which is extremely important to us, and a host that was extremely committed and engaged in the organization of this event. It's extremely important to have involvement on behalf of the host, because without this involvement of the host, we cannot succeed. And I would like for this to be the start of something greater. We just heard the head of the AFTLD who wishes for Morocco to join the AFTLD. I believe it's extremely important for us to move forward and to foster these associations. And speaking of ICANN, I wanted to say share a few quick points. So when I was talking to people from the community, and namely the board of directors of ICANN, one of the questions that was asked to me was, okay, a DNS forum is good, entrepreneurship, okay, that's good, but in Africa, can we really earn money in domain names? And the question was whether we will focus on domain names or should we go beyond. And this is obviously the board of directors, and when you sponsor an activity, well, you need to say that whether it has an impact or not. No, the question was, why should we be interested in domain names in Africa? Well, we need to show that this is part of an ecosystem that we need to develop in Africa. As you all know, when ICANN launched its new domain name program, you were all surprised to see that in 1930 inquiries, there were only 17 from Africa, and these 17 were almost all from South Africa. And this means that Africa is not in this industry. So our idea was to see why Africa is not a stakeholder. And also, when we see the registries of domain names, well, we can see that there's a lot of work to be done in Africa. So ICANN decided to support this endeavor. So we do have an African strategy that was developed by the community, and which indicates clearly 2 points. We need to ensure the participation of Africans within ICANN, but Africans need to be an integral part of the industry, because they constitute the industry, and it is their business, and our work is to ensure that we can act within this African ecosystem to see the creation of many domain names and several revolving activities. So this is our strategy. The forum that you are all that you have all attended is the fruit of a partnership, a win-win partnership, where on the one hand we need to support the AFTLD, and we were able to discuss with our ISOC partners who have joined hands with us, and this bore this fruits. of this forum, and this is the 4th edition now, and I think we should congratulate ourselves, and we deserve to give ourselves a round of applause to have been able to sustain ourselves for the past 4 years. Of course, not everything is perfect in terms of organization, and then obviously there are some things to be adjusted. We have discussed inclusion. We, as ICANN, the name of ICANN, we do not want this to be a CCTLD forum. There is another space for CCTLD forums. We believe that this should be the domain name forums, whether it is a generic or GTLD or CCTLD, and so this association needs to be made before the registers and the registrars, because if we want to transform the environment in Africa, we need to proceed differently. We cannot continue to have countries with 2,000 or 3,000 registrations. Africa, with its billions of registrations, we have only a few million registrations. So we really need to work hard on this point. And what we are doing here is part of what we call development and capacity building. This is why ICANN is involved in this project. And Honorable Director General, in conclusion, I would like to say that we are discussing digital economy in Africa. Africa is maybe one of the 5 or 10 countries that can say that they have a 5% growth rate. And I think that in many countries, digital economy has its role to play. And in Africa, we can only seize this opportunity, this digital economy opportunity, by doing things the way they should be done, by engaging in entrepreneurship. So we believe that we are on the right path. I was here yesterday during the opening, and I must admit that I was quite impressed by the number of attendees. Yesterday we said, well, we have a slight problem here. Well, we understood that people were still getting here, that were in different flights, and so I'm very happy to see the attendance rate, and just like in Nairobi and Abuja in the previous edition. So I think this goes to show that we are on the right path. 2 final remarks. In order for us we need to develop more strategic partnerships. We need to work with our partners, and we believe that these need to be global partnerships with the international registries and registrars, and this is why within ICANN we have an exchange program. We have already sent representatives of registrars and registries in Africa to Asia or even Canada, to see how things are done in the other areas of the world. And between Africans, we need to continue these endeavors. So I promise, Mr. Director General, and I think this is part of the exchanges that we've had, we will continue to work together with countries such as your own to further develop partnerships with sub-Saharan Africa, as we have discussed, because partnerships are very important. The rest is a question of organization, and I would like for us organizers to strengthen this organization in a more inclusive fashion. So it is on these final remarks that I would like to thank you once again for your presence. And the little I know of Marrakesh reassures me to the fact that we have chosen the right location, where the participants will not only stay in the closed environment of the conference rooms, halls, but will be able to discover Marrakesh. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm now going to give the floor to Mr. Dawit Bekele, General Director for Africa at ISOC. Before joining the Internet Society, Mr. Dawit taught and was a researcher in IT at the Addis Ababa University. He also created and managed many private companies that supplied Internet services. Mr. Dawit worked as a consultant for big international organizations as well. Without further ado, I'll give you the floor. Thank you. Cher Dr Paulo Nyirenda, président de la FTLD, Monsieur Pierre
Society, Mr. Mountassir Billah Azdine, Director General of ANRT, distinguished participants. It is the fourth time that the African DNS community meets to discuss the challenges and successes of Africa in building the DNS industry on the continent. In the last 4 years, we have discussed many issues that I believe have helped the industry move forward. There has been a lot of experience sharing that have enabled CCTLDs, registries, registrars, regulators, etc., deal with their local challenges more efficiently. For example, I believe that we have had considerable discussion around governance of registries, registry policies, automation of registries, promotion of registrars, capacity building, security, disaster recovery, IDN, ICANN processes, etc. And I am surprised how much the level of the debate improved year after year. These meetings have also created networks of people that can help each other when needed. For example, we see increasing number of African registries getting trainings from other African registries to implement DNSSEC or some other problems. 4 years ago, we were mostly looking for others to come and help us. Today, we are helping each other, which is a major improvement. We see progress, but we would very much like to see that the progress is accelerated. Some problems that we were discussing in the first DNS forum are still being posed the same way. Payment issues, for example, have been reiterated at every meeting with limited progress over the years. I know that there are barriers beyond our control, but we need to find ways to remove those barriers. But I think in general, the forum has proved to be very successful for the community and for the internet in Africa in general, and we should continue to organize it every year. And as ISOC, I would like to say that we are committed to continue working with the partners to organize it next year and the year after. Thank you. Nonetheless, after 4 years, we should start thinking of what should be our next focus of the forum. The last decade, and especially the last few years, have been very positive for the internet in Africa. Just 5 years ago, internet penetration in Africa was just 11%, which was about a third of the world average. Today, it is 28.6%, which is just 61% of the world average. The gap with the rest of the world is bridged at a very high speed. In fact, some countries like our host Morocco have a penetration rate that is higher than the world average, something unthinkable just a few years back. Even the quality of connections is becoming comparable to those in developed countries. The connectivity in this hotel, for example, is not that different from the connection in other developed countries' hotels, something, again, unthinkable just a few years back. This brings us new opportunities, including for the DNS industry. I think that various actors in the domain need to be more ambitious than a few years back, since the market is widening and many of the challenges are being solved by the progress that we are seeing. One important challenge that I would like to talk about is cybersecurity, which has become a leading issue on the global internet agenda, including Africa. As part of survey-based research that we have concluded with the African Union, African ICT policymakers told us that they have major concerns with regards to the security of the internet. They are right, because we now know the consequences of lack of security can be considerable. I am confident that this community is up to the challenge and can ensure that the African DNS is trusted. One important contribution of this community is to ensure that DNSSEC is implemented in Africa. And we have seen just this afternoon that it is working toward that. It is encouraging that we have 14 CCTLDs signed in Africa, and I think when we started there were only 3. That is for the first DNS forum. But this is not enough. We need to have all of them signed. Finally, I would like to congratulate all those who worked for months to make this meeting happen, and wish us all a very successful forum. Thank you for our local host and Mr. Director General for being our wonderful local host. Thank you for our partners, AFTLD and ICANN. Thank you for our sponsors, PIR, NIRA, DNS Africa, and the ACR for sponsoring this forum. Thank you, Morocco, for giving us this beautiful venue and beautiful city. And thank you all for participating.
Merci beaucoup. Je crois que les conclusions donc des différentes interventions vont dans le même sens. Il y a
qui a été fait au niveau de nos pays africains respectifs, mais il y a encore du chemin à parcourir. Je voudrais juste associer ma voix à celle de M. Dawit Bekele pour remercier en particulier Madame Marasma et Madame Bekele qui ont été donc avec nous en contact pour la coordination de ce forum. Alors tout de suite, je donne la parole à la présidente, à Madame Catherine Brown, qui est présidente CEO de la société Internet Society, président chef exécutif. Madame Brown connaît très bien le rouage de l'Internet, puisqu'il a travaillé aussi bien au niveau du secteur public. Il a travaillé, par exemple, dans des institutions réputées comme la ICC, donc qui est le régulateur américain, ou encore l'administration des informations des télécommunications des États-Unis, la NTA, mais aussi dans des entreprises privées. Il a obtenu son doctorat en droit de l'université de Maryland et a travaillé comme conseillère pour le conseil d'administration du public Internet, registré avant bien entendu de devenir donc la présidente CEO d'Internet Société. Je vous donne la parole, madame.
Thank you so much. I will speak in English because I wouldn't insult you not one bit with my French. Thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation to sit on this very impressive panel with my dear colleagues. Good to sit here with you. And Mr. Director General, for you being here and for gracing this occasion with your presence and I know your words. I want to thank you, thank my dear colleague Dawit and the staff of the African Bureau. I know that you appreciate them just like I do, the extraordinary work of Machuki and Kevin and Batel, I think is well appreciated by our partners and I know by the rest of the Internet Society. So a special thank you to my very brilliant and elegant head of the African Bureau. As we know, the Internet is an open distributed system, an ecosystem of multiple overlaying devices and networks, applications, people, commercial, and government interests. It is capable of supporting a wide range of demands for its use. There is no limitation on its applications or services that make use of it. The network of networks that is the Internet is global in reach. Any endpoint of the Internet can address any other endpoint, and it supports permissionless innovation. This general purpose global network has already changed the world, and it is now changing Africa. The first thing that the Director General said to me upon saying hello was, we need the Internet in Africa. We need it like we need water. He knows and we know that this is the answer to scaling the economic prosperity that we have seen in many other parts of the globe. We know that as part of the ecosystem, we have a responsibility to that growth. Importantly, as a technical and organic ecosystem, the Internet is a shining example of partnership. It's partnership in action. It takes all of us to make the Internet what it is. It needs multiple voices to guide it and to sustain it. It benefits from the involvement of different stakeholders. It is a shared resource that spans the globe, and as a reflection of our own Internet society's belief, it is there for everyone, everywhere. The central idea of partnership goes to the very heart of the Internet and is what gives it its strength. This DNS forum is the result of this kind of thriving partnership. In this case, the three organizations we've heard so much about. It is a realization of how a strong partnership and collaborative foundation have the ability to achieve significant goals. As part of the African technical community, you are the champions of the kind of bottom-up collaboration and cooperation that is the Internet way. As Africa continues to make strides in building its Internet economy, we must help our governments and our business partners to understand and adopt the collaborative approach because it is vital for its success. It matters in all kinds of Internet governance, and especially with respect to security. So if I may, I would like to focus a bit on the security. Cybersecurity, as Dawit has said, is a leading issue on the global Internet agenda, including in Africa. I was most impressed by the security experts at this very forum who spoke in the last breakout. It was of the highest level. I hope I can build here on their on-the-ground understanding of what Africa needs for Africa. Last year, the Internet Society put forth an approach that we call collaborative security. With respect to security challenges, we suggest a mindset with 5 precepts, if you will. 1, we need to focus on solutions that build confidence and trust in the Internet and protect opportunity for economic and social prosperity, rather than focusing simply on preventing perceived harms and attacks. 2, accept that the security of the Internet is a shared responsibility, and that we will only all be secure when we are ensuring that we are not just protecting ourselves, but also our neighbors. Ensure that security solutions preserve the fundamental open Internet nature of the Internet and fundamental human rights and values. 4, build flexible solutions that are grounded in experience, developed by consensus, and that will evolve to meet whatever new threats emerge. And 5, target solutions that can be implemented by people at the closest point where they may have the most impact. Think globally, but act locally. This community the DNS community has a major role to play in advancing collaborative security by making the DNS ecosystem more secure, both through the implementation of DNSSEC and in advocating for technology, practices, and vigilance about wider security issues. We were talking at lunch about how the Internet itself, the actual anniversary of the Internet Society, which you will all remember was founded by Vint Cerf in 1992, has evolved beyond people's wildest dreams. We are now in the 21st century when the full understanding of the complexities of this ecosystem have become more apparent. I believe that at the beginning of the 21st century, Africa enjoys a historic opportunity. The possibility to build the Internet that Africa needs for its future, to employ best practices that have been built up over the years, to build it better in Africa, to build it stronger in Africa. Africa has a chance to leapfrog technology and constraints and to create an Internet that helps to solve local as well as global problems. It has a chance to build and demonstrate what the world is seeking, technology and policy solutions that strike a normative balance, promoting security while also respecting the autonomy of online users. Together, we need to expand the circle of stakeholders who care about the deployment of an open, trusted, resilient Internet, who know that we must have an Internet that is both secure and open, where users trust that the Internet is a tool for individual and community empowerment and prosperity, where access, protection of privacy, and of user data is of the highest priority for governments, for businesses, for innovators, for investors. At ISOC, we firmly believe that the Internet needs Africa just as much as Africa needs the Internet. Collaborative security is how we build the trust in the Internet's infrastructure. My hope is that the DNS shareholders, the people here, will deepen their collaboration and explore ways to further this goal. We know that this is the way forward. As I have said before and elsewhere, the Internet on the great continent of Africa is at a tipping point. 28% penetration across the continent, 50% penetration here, penetration going up, up, up. Infrastructure is being built. Internet communities are forming. Users are accessing the Internet in greater numbers. Investment is starting to happen. Now is the perfect moment to strengthen this forum, to strengthen this industry, to confidently embrace the challenges that opportunity presents, greater collaboration on security, faster progress on getting it right, on creating a robust environment for the Internet and for this industry to grow and flourish in Africa. We at ISOC are excited about the possibilities and grateful to be your partners. Thank you to all.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Présidente.
Je donne la parole à Monsieur Azdine et Mountassir Billah, qui est directeur général de l'Agence nationale de réglementation des télécommunications. Monsieur Mountassir est ingénieur de formation de l'École nationale supérieure de télécom de Paris. Il a aussi une maîtrise en électronique et en automatique. Donc, avant de rejoindre l'ANRT en 2008, en février 2008, il a travaillé aussi bien dans des entreprises publiques au Maroc qu'au niveau du secteur privé. Et il a été en particulier directeur général d'une société qui s'occupe du télécommerce, de commerce électronique, une société qui est leader, qu'il a maintenant quitté et qui est toujours leader sur les marchés du commerce électronique. Monsieur Mountassir a aussi, surtout au niveau de la ANRT, donc accompagné la mise en place et le développement de l'activité gestion de notre domaine 3MA, donc à travers les différents processus par lesquels il est passé et qui, je pense, ont été exposés par les collègues lors de précédentes sessions, donc sur l'évolution et gestion des domaines 3MA. Tout de suite, je donne la parole à monsieur le Mountassir Billah.
Merci beaucoup. Madame la Présidente, chers collègues, Mesdames et Messieurs, c'est encore une fois un réel plaisir pour l'ANRT, pour le Maroc, de vous accueillir dans cette ville millénaire et qui, au-delà des connexions en TCP/IP qui existent aujourd'hui, a permis
we were able for the TCP's IPs to connect the various zones of regions of the world. Marrakech was at the center of the mixture of cultures of people coming from the south and people coming from the north. Marrakech was at the center of what it was at the time the Arabo-Muslim world, with a period, the Andalusian period that everybody knows about. So this was it was a mixity of people, and 10 centuries later, internet made the distances between people, between cultures, between languages, and between human beings even closer now. At the same time, this rapprochement that was created by the internet was led to some obstacles which are due to protectionism, to fear often, and I do believe that internet can contribute to reduce those barriers, since it is in the hands not of the governments, not of the industries, not of the civil society, but it's in between the hands of all those components. Due to that, it can be an extraordinary leverage to bring together and bring closer people and various cultures, and enable each person to develop the technology. That's why I do believe for us Africans, this is a great opportunity to overcome our difficulties. We proved it in the past through the telecommunication tools. 20 years ago, the phone was a luxury in Africa. With mobile phones, the use of this technology became is used now by the whole of the population. So why is this technology so spread out now, especially in 15 years? And we went from zero penetration rate to a penetration rate of 50 to 60%, up to 120%. This is due to this underlying need. And when we were able to identify the proper technology, because they were able to pay for this technology at the time where the handsets were expensive and the minutes were expensive. Years later, prices decreased and we managed to reach more people. To take the example of Morocco, in less than a decade, we managed to generalize the access to the mobile telephony for the whole of the population, in spite of the difficulties that we have because our population is very spread out. Morocco is a mosaic of 40 villages that were covered by mobile phone in less than 2 years, 10 years. Our challenge, or the next stage, let's say, it's to do the same with the internet. So we have developed a plan, which is a high debit plan, in order to generalize the access to the internet by 2020. We have a penetration rate of about 50% currently. We have a total coverage in the urban areas, much less obviously in the rural areas. However, there is the problematic of the management of domain names and internet as a whole. And if we generalize the access to the mobile phones, it was kind of easy. However, I do not think that the challenge will be the same for the internet access. And when I say internet access, it's not just to give the possibility to someone to have access to the internet. It's to enable this person to consume a certain number of services and products through internet. And we must acknowledge the fact that this is the problem that we are encountering currently. This is our handicap. So, and today, even in African countries where the internet penetration rate is high, the local content remains low. And Africa knows a certain number of successes that even developed countries did not experience. For example, the success of what I would call not only mobile payment, but mobile banking in Kenya, for example. This is an example that we have to reflect on. Because, as I said in the past, we're using 20th century technologies to provide services that were already existing in the 19th century. So in Africa, we must think about our development model. If for mobile phone, the content is the voice, and the voice is the same, be it in the United States, in Europe, or in Africa. This is not the same for the text content and the services that our citizens need through internet.